quick. All right. You guys may recognize my guest, especially if you are fans of this space. He is a political essayist and overall a pretty rad dude. So I want to bring on my pal, Dieter McBusiness. Dieter, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, but I might not be able to hear the screen share. I don't know yet.
Okay, yeah. If you can't hear the screen share, we will figure that out. Which I had that problem before.
How's work, dude? You've been covering all the bases today, huh?
Yeah. Just your average stream.
I don't know how you can go. I was looking at your live streams. I don't know how you can go 6 or 7, 8 hours, whatever the hell you do. Jesus Christ.
It's most of the time it's kind of, I would like to say effortless because I really need to be careful with this in any other entertainment industry. I know you know this. They tell you not to just say I would do this for free kind of thing,
Right.
Where it's just like, no, I love this. I genuinely love doing this. So it comes a little bit easier than it would for most, but
yeah, if I made real money going for if I had like an hourly rate like from YouTube, I'd be down to like learn how to do 6, 7, 8 hours in a row, but I don't think I could do it off the bat without serious preparation. Although you do a lot of reactions. That's one thing I don't do on my show is reaction stuff.
Yeah, it
I
helps.
just think it's just like, and it's a creative thing. I just don't enjoy it that much unless it's like, for some reason, like Gavin Newsom, like I reacted to him because I'm in California and I want to make sure all the Californians know, and most of them already do. It's really the rest of the country that's catching up to what he stands for. But every now I should probably do more reactions, to be honest with you. I have a nice little playlist broken up, but I prefer to kind of like try and be a access point for normies into the progressive wing of the left, and try to break things down and simplify them and not just talk about current events and news, because so many people are doing that.
Hey, well, I kind of like the way that it, like, I can break it down, because I try to have fun with it. Like, I have my own like 420 fun half where I try to get out of the news and politics. Doesn't always work.
Right.
Watch a lot of like Piers Morgan debates and that kind of stuff. But
we can talk Hollywood if you want at some point. I got plenty of stories to tell you in the Hollywood background that I used to have. But anyway,
do you mind giving my audience a little background?
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Dieter McBusiness. I am America's favorite white Anglo-Saxon Protestant gone left coastal. I host a YouTube show on Tuesday nights called Left Coast Live with my partner Stat Pat Stateless Patriot. He is from the Central Valley, of California, and I am from the coast of California. I was in LA for 10 years, but I'm in another town now. I grew up in a seriously conservative household, but I was located in the Northeast Boston area. So it was kind of this paradox of having a conservative household featuring Southern evangelical Christianity, not your run-of-the-mill conservative Christianity, but Southern Billy Graham style evangelical.
That's actually what I grew up in. That's my church was based on
Southern.
It was based on the Billy Graham method.
Okay.
They loved some Billy Graham and like.
Oh, dude, he was a prophet according to them. They believed that he was a modern day prophet. They have streets named after him in Charlotte, where my folks used to live. But from her, I got the right-wing religious credibility. And then from my dad, I got right-wing military and right-wing corporate America credibility. Mm-hmm. And then I went to school in the South at Vanderbilt, and I got to know really the ruling class of the South, as well as some trash too, who were like smart enough to get scholarships and stuff like that. But, people who grew up with Southern
real quick values. Do you think that they are like had a one up in like their family dynamic or something like that, like where they kind of like those I'm second generation Vanderbilt, and my daddy knew this person?
Oh yeah, dude, the Southern frat thing. So everyone's heard about like the SEC, right? Alabama, Florida, Auburn, South Carolina, Tennessee, all these big schools. Vanderbilt's the only private school there, but we still have that Southern frat culture kind of defining our social scene. So the good old boys from Alabama and Arkansas, they don't send their kids to Alabama and Arkansas if they're smart. They send them to Vanderbilt. So I got to know kind of the Southern elites, as well as through spending a lot of time in places like New Orleans, where I lived for a little while, in Charleston, South Carolina, and other parts of the South while I was in school there. And afterwards, after school, I lived down there too, working on movies and working on pouring drinks in Bourbon Street. That was my working class credibility, was when I was a bartender in Bourbon Street. But I was in corporate America immediately after school, and then I moved down to
Actually,
New
hold
Orleans
on.
to work on
With
movies.
that, with your Bourbon Street thing, what do you?
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Shia LaBeouf thing? Him getting knocked out by a bartender.
No.
In NOLA. Yeah, dude. Apparently, he started some shit with a bartender in NOLA,
He's got such issues. I feel sorry for
he
him.
headbutted the guy, and then he got knocked out. And then because it's like, what is it? It's either Mardi Gras or one of those, but they're having like huge parties down there right now. And they even said, yo, I'm not going to let my boy Shia miss this party. So I bailed him out. And it was just a rando from Twitch or from like TikTok.
Wow.
Dude. Yeah, Shia is lost. Oh yeah, dude. I
feel sorry for him, man. It's just like
ish.
some therapists really let him down. It's when you've got that kind of success early in life, you really need to find a good therapist to keep you grounded in reality.
Yeah.
I did in one of the early episodes of Left Coast Live, I talked about the effect of money on people's worldview and their psychology. And they talked to what reacted to this video where it's like, okay, here's what it's like when you have $5 million, $10 million, $50 million, 100, like, and how the lifestyle changes.
What happens with the 100 million? Because I actually brought that up on my stream here not too long ago about how, like, legitimately, how it's like you hit a certain amount of money and it breaks you.
Right.
So,
I think, okay, so it depends on your lifestyle choices. If you stay connected with the outdoors, then and nature, because it's very difficult to trust anyone when you have that money. So you have to kind of stay grounded in, I don't want to say normality, but it kind of is. Like, what's like more normal than nature?
Like Willem Dafoe does. Like, apparently that's what he does. Like, he doesn't even really spend his money. He has, like, apparently 5 outfits and, goes, like, he lives in New York City.
He goes on walkabout. Another guy who's like that is Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
He is from the South, and he will just drive all over the South for, like, weeks and see old friends and stuff like that. So you got to have something like that to ground you. Some people, it's spirituality. But 100 million. Yeah. So what I say about capitalism, the most important thing to know about capitalism is that once you have money, it's a hell of a lot easier, exponentially easier to make money. So when you get really, I think it's like $25 million per person, depending on the size of your family. If you're just a couple and you got $50 million, you don't have to work again, and you can live a lavish lifestyle. What are the most expensive things in these lavish lifestyles? It's travel and a yacht. Like those are the big expenditures if you go big time. And free piece of advice to any multimillionaires out there listening, considering getting a yacht: don't do it. Just charter a boat. Okay. It's cheaper. Just charter a boat.
My dad said my dad was like, moderately successful, but he never got past that, like, just upper middle class stage. But he tried, like, a few times that he got close. He bought a boat, which was, he called it a yacht, but it was just it was like not even a houseboat. It was just like a boat that had like a single room, like, underneath, and it was a nice boat. He got rid of it after 1 year. I was like, why just 1 year? He's just like, you know what boat stands for? About another 1,000.
Bust out another 1,000.
It's just like, oh, I get it. It's just like, I will never buy another boat.
I have a good reality TV suggestion for your audience, because I don't really watch reality TV except for this one show. It's called Wicked Tuna, and it's about these North Shore tuna fishermen, and they all have great Boston, New England accents, and they catch these 500-pound tuna, and it's like some of the largest fish that you can catch
Oh
on
yeah.
a rod and reel, and yeah, that's they talk about that acronym, bust out another 1,000, because yeah, the fuel costs alone of just getting on a boat and going somewhere and trying to catch a fish is just astronomical.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, for me, it's travel. That's why I need money. It's because I like to travel. But I'm so caught up in what's going on in the world right now and the devolution of American society that I'm just one of those people that, and this is kind of a product of my privilege, is there's something wrong. I'm supposed to do something about it. And the only thing I can fucking do is get on YouTube and be a member of my local DSA and do what I can for the next election, because that's, I think, where my talent lies,
Mhm.
you know? But I wish I could do more. I wish I had more power. I do lay claim. This is my, you're on camera, you're going to have some narcissistic qualities, right? What's your value? Why the fuck should I listen to you? I think is always a reasonable question to ask when you're parading through YouTube. I think I know better than most lefties, both how to acquire power and, most importantly, what to do with power once you have it.
I mean, that's um so what keeps you from like being in the consultant like agency for like a leftist politician?
I thought about that. I think I could be a really great public speaking coach, because that was my training. That was what I majored in college, was communication studies. And I think I'd be a good image consultant, because I think like certain politicians, they just don't know how to present themselves in such a way that's both attractive, but like I'm meant to be taken seriously. And I'm also a killer, because the left wants killers now, as we've talked about, in our conversation not too long ago, is we need competitive people to be leaders on the left. So in terms of your question, though, consultant, I would be a consultant for progressives. I would love to consult, but
That's what I
I
meant.
would feel guilty about charging them money. Well, relationships. I mean, I don't have access to those people yet. I'm a smaller channel. Yeah. I mean, I could call in some favors. You're not giving me a bad idea. I could probably leverage some current relationships that I have to try to get access. If you want to give me a short list of people you think who needs help, we can go public with this. Who needs help?
Well, I mean, I would actually say Kat needs a little bit of help.
Oh yeah.
Yes. She thought that she had this huge gotcha with Dan Biss with the trying to call out like how he hasn't really said that the word genocide out there. And to be fair, I'm waiting on his campaign to get back to me, because I took a chance and I just called them and I was like, "Hey, I kind of want context for this, because the video unfairly didn't really show his response in full, or like she didn't really give him the chance to give the answer, because she like did it's a yes or no, and it's just like, no, that really wasn't a yes or no, especially if there is like the finer nuance. And I brought it up at the beginning of the show where I was just like, okay, so like this idea that because I had an audience member send me a Substack that he wrote in August, where he was talking about like what happened and how like he wants a two-state solution essentially, but he also wants sovereignty for Palestinians and Israelis alike. Like it was the ultimate politics move, especially from like a Israeli Jewish politician. You know what I mean? But as far as Dan Biss goes, I like for if APAC was 100% backing him, and like if he showed like any of the signs of doing like the what's the state regime media like spin, then I would totally just be like, yeah, fuck this guy. But he's actively been the opposite of that, where I know that like they're putting a lot of money into the opponent Laura Fine, like APAC is, to make sure that he isn't the candidate. And Kat for that matter. But I don't know. I think that he's kind of I hope that he's not one of the just average, Netanyahu puppets, but it doesn't feel that way, because it seems like from his perspective, he's talking about like, yeah, I grew up going to is like that's just I was born into this, but it wasn't like a political situation. It was literally like he would go to family vacations kind of thing. Um, and then he would just recognize when he was there that there like that's what radicalized him was the fact that he saw that there was like, you know, a duopoly there where he was just like, yeah, for some reason I had way more rights even as an American visitor than the people of Palestine. And he was like, he's like, that's what really made me interested in learning more about this. That's also what essentially radicalized him. But I'm also, because he is a politician and because he does have the establishment candidate right now, Jan Skakowski is behind him. I'm a little skeptical. But...
Yeah. I think, look, when Kat first announced, I was really excited. And she seemed to have automatic charisma on camera and talent. But I must say that in the media that I've seen her do, which I know she was on the Bitchuation Room recently, she's a little too singular in her voice. And it's not just about this one issue. And based on what I know about that district, it's actually pretty diverse. Like geographically, it's got some urban areas, it's got some suburban areas. It doesn't have any rural areas, but you know, it's got different needs.
They kind of took into a rural area. They went out like so it ends at a town called Crystal Lake, which I've always found hilarious because there's literally
no lake.
No, there's a lake, but it has a Camp Crystal Lake. So, you know, Friday the 13th get wild. I could only, you can only imagine, man, just like every time they're just like, I'm taking a trip to the Crystal Lake. Jason Mascon, let's go, baby.
Nice.
But it's a really like red area, like, and I mean deep red area where like you can see the shift because it's, I recently went to a protest out there and as you like go into the town, you drive through like the little neighborhoods, and there it's just like you can see like Trump flags and you know it just you get and like pickup trucks, all that bullshit. You're just like, this is definitely a different vibe, you know, than the rest of the Illinois 9th. So I was kind of like, oh geez, and they only recently expanded out there. That was kind of what worries me is like, I think that they just made that adjustment in like 2019.
Well, there's got to be a better system of drawing up these congressional districts because it's a huge structural problem. And that's one essay that I'm working on. And by the way, if you do check out my channel, please start with my essays. Just pick one.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my best writing.
Actually, but I like how you titled your first one here, What is a WASP? And immediately I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, because you're from the Midwest. It's more of an East Coast thing. Yeah, it stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. We were the ruling class of America for a while. And then, up until the Southern evangelicals took over the Republican Party, starting with Nixon, I want to say.
Oh, don't mention that here. Don't mention that here. Some of the people in my chat, they want to they want to believe that the whole like, oh, well, did you know that Abraham Lincoln was technically a Republican?
Oh,
did you know that the Democrats were the racist ones? Oh, dude, I get that all the fucking time.
It's called political realignment. The key name there in that when you run into that bullshit is Lee Atwater. Okay. Because people like Ben Shapiro will tell you that the Southern strategy wasn't really a thing and it doesn't really explain the political realignment that took place after JFK because JFK got a lot of Southern votes. But Lee Atwater on his deathbed confessed that starting with Nixon, they were going to use race resentment as the engine.
Whoa, he just said it?
I mean, basically, yeah, he just said that. You can look it up. It's online somewhere. Yeah, no, you can just Google it. But Lee Atwater, admitted hands down to the Southern strategy.
This guy, I remember him.
Yeah, he's a very important figure on the right. And that's another thing that I think is a source of value is a very strong source of value, and something that Sam Cedar is very strong on is understanding the right, is understanding the enemy. I think if progressives are going to overtake the Democratic Party, which I think we both share as a goal, we're going to have to demonstrate ourselves to be superior political athletes to neoliberal establishment figures. And that means demonstrating that we are better at taking out the right. Now, what's the key to beating
How come Jake's not better at that coming from the right?
Because he doesn't coming from the right.
Yeah, because he was a conservative, like when he started, even TYT.
Yeah, but show me his conservative credentials. First of all, he's a person of color, so that DQs him from knowing the heart and soul of the establishment automatically. Sorry, dude.
Oh, I like how I got pushed into play devil's advocate for this guy. That I was just bringing it up.
No, I mean, you don't know the sociopathy, because you got to understand, until you've been behind closed doors and hear how racist, like hardcore racist, not just the diet racist, not just the people who were like pissed off they didn't get into an Ivy League school because, you know, they're white, or that's why they think that happened. You know, not that kind of diet racist stuff. I'm talking about the hardcore racists that go to the Klan meetings and, you know, or have family members, I should say, is probably the closest I ever got. But like spending time, I think it's a credential. Have you spent serious time in the Southeast of America? And if you haven't, then
you mean like Florida?
Yeah, Northern Florida. Yeah.
No, actually, I did. I did.
So yeah, Northern Florida, it definitely counts as the Confederacy. And that's another source of rhetorical gold that I don't think the left, the general left, both the neoliberal left, if you can call that the left, we should just call it neoliberal centrism at this point. That's even being generous. But is the Confederacy. The Confederacy lives, and we must conquer it. Where's that message? Where's that? You know, Gavin Newsom, and I don't really like him, but I think he's a good touch point because he's the biggest bully on the block out there in terms of political figures right now on the that has a D next to his name. But he's talking about going on offense, and he's like, and I'm telling people, like, do you think this guy knows how to take on the Confederate flags and the Bible beaters and the gun nuts?
I was actually in Georgia when Obama got elected. I'll never forget that. Me and my pops were at a gas station, and they saw our plates, our Illinois plates, and they were just like, "Bet you voted for the N-word." We were just like, "Oh boy, boy, we got to get out of here."
Yep.
And that was the first time my dad actually ever said, he's like, "I have never not felt safe, like driving around here." He's like, "I want to get the fuck home." He's like, these people.
It's real.
Like, these people are pissed.
Yeah, and what are they really like now? What have they devolved into?
Yeah.
WTF doesn't stand for what you think it does anymore. It stands for white trash fascism, because that is what they are. They're white trash Nazis. They're just ignorant. They're probably less educated than the Nazis were back in the day. But the most important thing to know about racism, coming from the white privileged dude, you know, whatever you want to call me, is to tear down my credibility as you know, the problem demographically in our society, is that we're never going to kill it. Racism is nothing more than a culturally militarized form of ignorance, right? It's just a specific form of ignorance that motivates certain behavior.
Well, control too.
But you got to understand the source. And this is one of my essays, Who Are MAGA Confederate Flag Wavers? Racism is Blame. It's in line with one of my recent essays called Scapegoat Politics, which is that people's lives, a lot of people, especially in rural America, where you don't see a whole lot of people regularly, and the people that you do see are the same people over and over again, they're miserable. You know, they're not happy. They're not going to great restaurants on weekends. They're not going to cool farmers markets on Thursday nights. They don't have a sense of community. Their sense of community is online. And that's why this echo chamber of conservatism has become so dangerous, is because the scapegoating is towards the least powerful in our society. This isn't anything new, what we're going through on a country. It's just Reagan on cocaine. Like, the war on drugs was a war on people, really people of color. And Now we're going through it just explicitly. It's just like, oh, it's just out in the open right now. And we're never going to
I
get
have a
rid of this.
question about
Well,
that real
let me
quick,
just,
though. Oh, sorry.
yeah, sure. Go ahead. No,
I
you
was
go
about
ahead.
to say about like with the Reagan thing. Do you actually think
Yeah.
that he?
That he
I'm not
knew?
trying to give him too much credit, but do you think that he believed that, or do you think that he actually believed his bullshit? Because that's the one thing. After watching a bunch of his
Reagan?
shit, I
Yeah.
feel like Reagan actually bought his own bullshit,
Yes.
but it was everybody else using him as a puppet.
Okay, I think your assessment is right on the money.
Okay, cool.
I know a lot. I know a lot about Reagan.
That's
And
what I'm
here's the
asking.
he didn't he wasn't that bright.
No.
He wasn't. If he was smart, it's actually funny. If he was smarter, he probably would have been a more successful actor, because he actually had a pretty good look for TV and film.
Mhm.
But he didn't succeed as much in front of the camera because he's actually not a very thoughtful person. He wasn't well read. He wasn't an intellectual. He resented the creative types, really.
It seemed like that, yeah.
And so, yes, I think he was caught up in his own self-righteous bullshit, where he wasn't smart enough to kind of get outside the bubble. He lived in that bubble of, conservative privilege back in those days was different. It was a suit and tie. It was dressed up. It had the appearance of legitimacy and professionalism.
Oh, you put American flag on your lapel and a red tie, you were a Republican. It was
exactly. Yeah. It was that simple. And I think a guy like Reagan fit the role perfectly and served the purpose of the special interests. Say what you will about Nixon, but you knew who was running things. you knew who was in charge.
Why would you question that otherwise?
But with Reagan, yeah, I think he surrounded himself with a team. And I actually know a guy who I grew up sailing. How waspy is that?
No shit.
I grew up sailing with someone that worked in the Reagan administration. Actually, more than one person, but only one guy that I was really close with. And I said, "What did you?" We talked about Reagan all the time, and so this is how I kind of have the personality knowledge, is through this relationship. And I was like, what do you think his most defining quality was? And he's like, he was just so relaxed all the time, no matter what the crisis was. So the man had a surreal amount of confidence in himself, probably to the point of being a narcissist.
Oh, it's like you said, you have to be in order to even want to be a movie star, right?
Yeah, you have to have. So this is the thing. So 1 out of 6, and I do another essay of mine called "A Baby Boomer Political Divorce," derives from my knowledge of family systems defined by narcissistic abuse. 1 out of 6 Americans suffer from narcissistic personality disorder. That's an extreme form of narcissism, right? That's actually a disorder.
Yeah.
But meaning they just cannot empathize. Trump has NPD.
No,
sure.
and I know it got bastardized with like TikTok and stuff because people don't understand the difference between just selfish cunts and narcissism.
Right.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, because I didn't do another essay called "The Right-Wing Magic Trick: How American Exceptionalism Became American Narcissism." We are a very narcissistic culture. We're very impressed with ourselves. But it's funny because the coolest parts of America in terms of the international marketplace are all produced by leftists, where you got Hollywood. It doesn't get any more left than Hollywood. The weirdos, freaks, and geeks of Hollywood are a fantastic bunch. Like all of the creativity coming out of New York, like the real value in our society, like it was Silicon Valley, used to be blue until Trump's recent inauguration. But anyway, getting back to Reagan, I just want to wrap that up. I think the guy was definitely he was a grandiose narcissist, but knew that he wasn't smart enough to work a room the way really talented politicians do. I think he relied on his staff to do all the speech writing and so forth. But it's like every president, getting back to your point about being on camera and so forth, everybody who wants to be on camera, everybody who wants to be the center of attention, to some extent, that's narcissism. Right. So everyone, it's like, if you study social psychology, every competitive person, especially people who are competitive, who want to be on camera, who want attention, they have narcissistic qualities.
Mhm.
It's a question of whether or not they are aware of that narcissism. And that is actually what makes for really great politicians. Is
Isn't
people
that
who are aware.
technically like riding the line of psychopathy though? Like because of the self-awareness of it?
Well, but they understand that they have, like, for example, well, I mean, just the way we're talking, I think I understand conservatism as well as anyone. I won't say better than anyone else, but I will
Right.
say as well as anyone. So that's even like a little narcissistic to make such a claim.
Right.
But, and I'm like, yeah, it is. But
Well, it
I can
depends on
tell
how
you,
you frame it, though. It's like, well, I grew up in it. It's like, yeah, but it's still anecdotal. Like you do have to study past
exactly.
your own experiences.
And I had to, and I had, exactly. That's a great point, because I had to actually, my mother's only one touch point into the Southern evangelicals. I didn't actually go to a Southern church until she moved down there. And that was a whole new level. And
Dude, that had to be a trip.
Oh, dude, speaking in tongues and shit. Like,
oh my God, the Seventh-day Adventists? No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. My mom was married to one of those guys. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
like
it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's seizure. It's
but
like,
I think like it's like confident people to think that, I mean, even something I said earlier about knowing how to acquire power, and more importantly, knowing how to exercise power. Is that confidence, or is that a narcissistic blind spot for me? I don't know. Maybe. But you got to put your balls out there in America if you want something. You know what I mean?
That's a hell of a way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, and I talk about how women
lead
can
with
have
your
balls too, but like, no,
South
that's
Park,
what
ride them into battle.
You did a reaction to the most recent New York Times thing, right?
Yep,
and
yep.
You talked to everybody talked about it this week, and how, because no one picked a moderate, everyone picked a progressive in that focus group.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the respondents says, what's wrong with the Democratic Party? And he's like, can I say no balls? And I'm like, yeah, man, absolutely. You should say
perfect.
No balls. Yeah. And
No
one of them
balls.
said pussies. I think Jen Welch said they're pussies.
Yeah.
Like, it's time for us to start talking a little straight to the American public and giving people's anger a voice, because anger is a completely natural reaction. This is something I think artistic types struggle with, is that anger is a completely natural reaction to injustice, unfairness, and inequality.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely natural. I'm powerless to do something about this. Of course, you're going to internalize those emotions. Now go work out, or go meditate, or go beat the shit out of your pillow.
Well,
preferably not,
Unfortunately, some people fall down conservative or not conservative, but conspiracy rabbit holes and never come out.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think the left, I guess where I'm going with that is, I don't think the left, especially when you see figures like Chuck Schumer out there as and Jeffries, I don't think they're embracing it. I don't think they're embracing the current circumstances of our time and recognizing that this could be our great moment of clarity to use
actually, to your point,
thing. Yeah.
To your point about how unpopular they are, and the fact that, Schumer and Jeffries, I don't like the fact that we're still listening to some of the mainstream media, talking points as far as just even, we have to go with them, they're the leadership. It's like, no, we changed the leadership at this point. If they're this unpopular, you can't do the Mitch McConnell bullshit. And the fact that they're even trying isn't, number one, insulting. And I think that's why everybody's finally sick of it, because they're just like, you're somehow less popular than Trump. Good job. And they were banking on them becoming more popular just because he was a step on his own dick, which he does, but then they don't get to benefit from it.
My thesis right now and all of my essays are oriented towards the message of replacing baby boomer leadership in the Democratic Party and never looking back.
Mm-hmm.
And actually talking about anger, filing an historical grievance with the entire baby boomer generation. And I think I talk about this in another essay, where blame, when placed appropriately, is nothing more than problem identification, right?
What do you mean by that?
If there's a safety problem at the Springfield nuclear power plant, who are you going to blame? Homer Simpson. And then you're going to fire his ass for fucking up, and you're going to replace him.
No, you won't. No, you'll fire Lenny before you fire Homer.
Well, yeah, because otherwise there'd be no show, right?
Yep.
But the point is that in that context, like, organizations come down to people, and people either create problems, solve problems, are immobilized by problems. And when they create problems, they are the problem. So baby boomers have done nothing but create problems ever since they became the biggest voting bloc, which was 1980. So ever since they've been in charge. Yeah, 1980.
Okay, so when did we become the biggest? Because I know that we're technically the biggest voting bloc
two
now.
elections ago. Two elections
ago we hit it. Wow. So this actually plays into what I was saying earlier about the student walkouts, because I had made a comment about how the reason that mostly Republicans are freaking out about this is because they understand that's the next voting base, and they don't want to see that they're not permeating with the youth. Because, like, I've kind of, I come off condescending because I don't have children, but I have also brought up where I'm just like, yeah, and this is why a lot of parents right around that time start either disowning their kids, or they start doing the thing where I wish I never had kids.
Right.
But up to that point, you'll never know love until you have your own child.
Yeah, fuck that.
And then you abandon that child the second that they say they're gay, trans, or a leftist.
I was joking with a black friend of mine recently. I was like, the light bulb went off, and I'm like, because I know when I'm talking to another man whose dad beat the shit out of him. Not my dad did. My dad did not beat the shit. Okay. Yeah, no, my dad didn't. Just to be clear, if he's watching, or anybody who knows me that's watching, my dad was not physically abusive towards me. He did yell a lot, and I have a saying about families, right?
Yep.
Don't be a family that has yelling in the house.
Yep.
Because every house that has hitting has yelling as a precursor.
Yeah.
And if you're not a house with yelling, then you're actually behaving appropriately.
My dad abused me with humor.
Yeah, that's good.
He did, actually.
That's the best.
He called me. I look at Eric Foreman and Red Foreman, and I had that exact dynamic with my pops, where he was a good dad. He wanted the best for me, but he called me numbnuts as a term of endearment. And when he used my name for like the first time when I was like 22, I was like, this is weird.
He actually respected you.
It's like, whoa.
People's brains, actually, I have a theory that, like, men aren't really grown up until like late 20s.
I agree.
30, and actually there's science behind your brain developing. You're not really a fully formed brain until
like
you're
24.
26, 26, 27. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Even worse.
So I actually think if you want to get ruthless about it, I don't think you're really a grown up until you hit 30. Cause then it's like, holy shit, I better decide whether or not I'm going to have a family. And then obviously women have to decide that earlier. They have to go to 27. So women grow up, usually become adults at the latest 27, because they have to start thinking about having kids. But I think you and I share that. My wife and I are not having kids either.
Yep.
And because, partly because we love to travel and we just like the freedom, and our dogs are enough, and we've got nieces and nephews.
That's my baby.
And it's good. Yeah, we love dogs, and we have maybe one will come in and visit us at some point. But yeah, man, it's fine not having kids. In fact, it's like men, when they say they understand love better because they have a child, can shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the most condescending bullshit I have ever heard, man. It really is.
Women who say they understand love better than anybody who doesn't have a kid, I think are right.
Right.
The idea of unconditional love, right? Everyone loves to talk about that if you're kind of spiritual at all. Unconditional love, right? Okay. Well, I theorize that only dogs and mothers are capable of unconditional love.
I agree with
like, I don't think men are actually capable of unconditional love because we're programmed to protect. We're programmed to kind of be in a way violent.
We watched the Necessary Conversation yesterday, where it was just the mom and the son. And without Bob there, I'm not sure if you know the dynamic where it's the two kids with their their parents that are insufferably MAGA, and they literally have said Bob said that he's more than comfortable with like ICE coming in, and if they're there protesting, just mowing him down to his own kids. And the mom's even like,
yeah,
I don't know. But then you see the unconditional love aspect for the kid when Bob's not there.
Right.
It's kind of like, yeah.
Well, because the mother feels loyalty to the husband and the way he looks in front of the kids, so she's not going to speak up. But then when he's out of there, it'd be like, whoa, what the hell's wrong with?
Oh, she literally takes the Trump hat that, like, she wears this Trump hat anytime that Bob's on. It's like this black Trump hat. But then anytime he's not, no hat.
Right.
Like, even just like the optics I've noticed where I'm just like, this is different. But I totally agree with what you say about like the ability to feel unconditional love, because, yeah, I mean, with men, it does.
We just don't have that connection.
Yeah.
We can't create life. And I think it's chemical. Like, we don't have that. We just can't create. I say, if there's going to be a benevolent dictator, it's going to have to be a woman, because they appreciate life more than we do. Now, with that said, I think some progressive lefties need to chill with hating the straight white man. I think
right.
like,
well, I could already tell that my chat's going to have some things to say about this one.
Yeah, I know. Well, I want to hear him.
Oh, by the way,
I can't see your chat, by the way.
I know that you partake. We are literally 20 seconds out from doing just a quick smoke break. If you want to also join, just make sure you just kind of tilt off cam, because we're on YouTube. We're not allowed to do it on camera. So,
I'm gonna go out. With my headphones on. I'd have to go outside and like take a break from the show.
Oh, it's fine. Here, let's do it. All right,
you want to do it now?
Yeah, just do it now. We'll come back. All right.
Okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
So I showed my audience. Actually, here, I showed them just a little snippet here of what you do. Of the first video. It was kind of like a preview, and then I made them sub to your channel. So you should have some more subs.
Yeah, I think I got a few.
Hell yeah, man.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I got a few. Yeah, thank you guys for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get out there, and I want to be an access point for the normies. It's like I don't know if you want to talk about him, but I really admire Hassan. He was at the DSA convention in Chicago that I went to in August, and I think he's great.
Well, actually, I want
a ton of value.
We did end on a contentious point that.
Oh yeah. Do we want to wrap that up?
Yeah,
that's easy. I want to. Yes. So the straight white man thing, because I know people hear that like, the left isn't kind to straight white men. Fuck that.
Yep.
They can toughen the fuck up. That's true. Okay, I agree with that. But I will say that I think, and I don't know a lot of women that agree with us, like straight white men are so fucking stubborn and entitled. Whether you like it or not, the best way to get through to them is through another straight white man, right? Like, it's what sucks, but it's also true with like the I've Had It podcast success and their rapid growth. Why are they so successful? They're saying the same things a lot of us have been saying on here for 10 years, right? They are an access point to the suburban white women.
Oh.
That's the messenger, right? It's not about the message. It's about the messenger.
It's weird to recognize that, but also not recognize it at the same time. Where I'm like, oh shit, I just need somebody to actually say it.
Yeah. Clip that.
Yeah. Hey, there you go, guys. Anytime you say clip it, there's a guy in my chat that's just like, got it.
Yeah, clip that shit, dude. That was a good one. I'm proud of that work right there. No, because it matters. It's like there's so much of life that like, and it's just even more so in politics, where there are things that aren't the way that they should be. We're all kind of in this business because we know something's wrong and we want to make it better, right? Well, parallel to that is acknowledging what you can't change. And sometimes you can't change people's fragile little egos who need to be catered to. It's a little bit of salesmanship. It's just kind of trying to jump into their shoes and be like, okay, who's this person really going to listen to? I was talking to Ben Dixon about this. along racial lines. And because around that time that we collabed, it was a few months ago, it was a while ago, I guess. But that fat, overweight cop down in Florida was threatening protesters. It's like, one of our big, beautiful dogs will take you out if you spit on us, that kind of thing. And I told Ben, I said, I know you want to hurt him, but do you understand that rhetorically, I can hurt him harder than you?
Yeah.
I can tear that piece of shit down better than you can, for reasons that I think are fairly obvious, but sometimes difficult to articulate. You know, it's just, he's like, I'm cut from that cloth. Like, I was born on his team.
Right.
And so this is like someone knowing the bully formula and bullying them right back.
I mean,
and kind of doing that dirty work. You know what I mean?
Oh, Jesus.
It's dark. I know it's fucking dark, but it's like, I'm working on an essay, and this is fun to be on your channel and not on mine, so I'm not spoiling anything. But I did an essay on, I'm writing an essay, and it's as if I'm running for office. And I would say something along the lines of, my revenge is your retribution. And what I mean by that is, the difference between revenge and retribution is that revenge is the personal satisfaction that you get from hurting someone that hurt you to a greater extent than they originally hurt you. Retribution is an offsetting of a wrong that was done to someone else, deemed appropriate by society. Right?
Right.
So society agrees, you murder someone, you either, depending on the state, and this is where I think it's stupid, that like this all like states' rights things we could maybe get into from conservative rhetoric, but it's like, I think there should be a uniform federal law on public execution. Like, let's just have this, can we just settle it so it doesn't matter where you are? Like, if you know, I don't believe in capital punishment, if for no other reason than how expensive it is. But it's like, you know, we have deemed appropriate, we have had anything like abortion. You know, they brought up that old law. My whole argument with abortion is, intellectually, like, we had the conversation, it was settled law, like, let's move on.
Right.
Grow up. Like, people, you know, people on the right love to talk about their First Amendment rights, and it's my freedom of speech to use the R word or to use the other F word to describe gays. You know, that's their freedom of speech. Oh yeah, right. That's and the Supreme Court has supported that hate speech is free speech now in our country. So they obsess over that shit because they want to matter and they want attention and they feel left out. And they should be left out because they have not learned about these conversations that we've had in the past about certain issues. Abortion should never have been overturned.
Right.
What the fuck? How did that happen? How did that happen, Democrats?
Democrat inadequacy, not listening, having way too much faith in, you know, Republicans actually playing fair. I mean, I can literally recognize the moment everything changed. It wasn't even Trump. It was fucking Mitch McConnell. The second that he started doing that, we can't have a Supreme Court justice go in when it's an election year. Very next fucking cycle, we'd be remiss not to put something. Yeah. And honestly, I think it's almost, this is going to sound bad, but it's like, all right, Democrats, we already know you suck. How come you couldn't pull the hypocrite like card in your favor there? Like, even though, does Merrick Garland deserve to be in that seat? No. He also dropped the ball as AG.
Merrick Garland is feckless. No, I have no confidence in the Democratic. I have no confidence in the Democratic establishment. It's interesting you say that, like, yeah, Mitch McConnell is definitely the Darth Vader, like, or the Emperor, like he's Palpatine, like he's definitely the brains of the Republican establishment for the last 30 years. So I think you're right about that. But the turning point for us as a nation politically, when we really lost all hope,
Citizens United, that was a big one.
I go back even further. And maybe this is
Okay.
my bias, which is
Really?
presidential history, but I would go back to the election of Bill Clinton in 1992.
Really?
Yeah.
That is unexpected. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
I'm
elaborate
doing a
on that
lot
a
of
little bit.
I'm doing a lot on Clinton in my current essays. It's because I'm
Huh.
defining neoliberalism. And no, Bill Clinton is the personification of the greatest historical, intellectual, political concession of left-wing politics in American history. And by that I mean he took the party of Franklin Delano Roosevelt and turned it into the party of Bill Clinton. And
Yeah.
and he completely abandoned the New Deal premise
But how
that
much of that was
government
like again
can and should
lobbyists
work for
and
them.
like new age kind of bullshit that came from like the Iran Contra like system?
I think yes. So that's the context that was established by Reagan and George H.W. Bush with the military industrial complex, the end of the Cold War, spiking that in a historical way. But there was also another contextual element, which was baby boomer stock portfolios, because they
Oh,
were starting to think about saving for retirement.
yeah,
Again, we're back to the boomers becoming the biggest voting bloc
yeah.
and thus the center of the conversation. Excuse me.
No worries.
So Bill Clinton um, kind of had this attitude, and this isn't original, this is just historical knowledge. Like he had this attitude of like, well, the Republicans are winning, let's be more like them. And then he ushered in these words that just destroyed the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. And I said them in my most recent essay. He said the era of big government is over in one of his State of the Union speeches to resounding applause. And that exposed his thinking all along, was that he was going to be like the Reagan of the Democratic Party. That's what he wanted to be.
Well,
And
I mean, it was the era we just came out of, so I mean, logically that kind of tracks, right? Because
well,
nobody wanted to be he didn't want to be his predecessor because that guy was feckless as fuck. So
yeah, and he just conceded on so much. And I say the big five sins of Bill Clinton are the racist crime bill, the repeal of Glass-Steagall, which allowed retail banks to become investment banks,
yeah,
welfare reform, which hurt a lot of impoverished communities,
yeah.
the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement.
All right. Wow.
And then the Telecom Act is my personal favorite, the Fourth Estate.
That was
media
for the last
law.
one.
Yeah, media law is my favorite because I know a lot about it. And it just destroyed the public good that was news and turned it into entertainment.
Yep.
And here we go. Fox. The great irony of that legislation is that it opened the door for Fox News to crucify his wife for the entire time she was a senator. And then here's the other thing about him being the party of Bill Clinton. What happens when the black people get their turn with Barack Obama? They flip it right back to Bill Clinton with Hillary, right? And this is the essay that I'm working on with the establishment left. It's going to be 4 essays, but the 3 cardinal sins of American political parties are narcissism, ignorance, and hypocrisy. And the Hillary Clinton campaign personifies all 3 of those things.
Oh, fuck yeah. Well, also elitism, I would add to that.
I think that qualifies as a form of narcissism because they attempt to be the party of the people. And yet, if you look at the presidential nominees ever since Bill Clinton, it's all like white elitists, except for Obama. And even he was an elitist. Obama came from a private school in Hawaii. Like he grew up fairly privileged, definitely privileged for a black person in America. If you just want to use the data, just saying that about Obama. You always got to be careful with Obama, I feel like, because, and I just talked about this with Clinton, he represents the difference between public memory and history, because according to history, he was a complete failure of a president. But according to public memory, he was a good president, right? Same with Obama. Like, people,
I know that we're a similar age, dude. We grew up in the what I call the peace 90s. Like, we didn't have a war to worry about. I mean, outside of Desert Storm, which come on.
So,
Jurassic Park came out and that, and then everything like was peace until, 2001.
So it's called America's Long Weekend. It's from when the Berlin Wall fell in 89
Yeah.
to 9/11. That's America's Long Weekend. That's the only time we didn't have war in like the last 100 years or something.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah, but
it felt that way though. Like as a kid, I felt like, you know, and this is where I try to like differentiate between me literally being a kid at the time and not being able to know better, and also like just that you know, the glass of or the glass wearing the nostalgia glasses, if I will. Um,
yeah,
and just being also like, okay, objectively, it was also better, you know. Um, I remember recently I
it was
brought
our
up how
Mr. It was sorry, I just wanted to wrap
yeah, go ahead.
about that time. It was just it epitomizes the selfishness and the narcissism of the baby boomer generation because they didn't have real, like to your point, they did not have real military conflicts that burdened them.
Mhm.
And for the first 2 years of Bill Clinton's presidency, he had majorities in both the House and the Senate. People forget that.
Yep.
And then it flipped after 40 years of dominance by the
Yep.
Democrats
For the first
in
time.
92.
Yeah.
And then here comes Newt Gingrich. But Bill Clinton had the opportunity, just like Obama did when he had both houses, to fucking fix healthcare.
Mhm.
It was so obvious. It was the slam dunk waiting to happen in modern American politics. And both of them fucking whiffed. And it pisses me off because I'm spending, you know, over a lot. I'm spending 4 digits, let's just say, worth of money on healthcare every month.
Well, my dad was a small business owner, so like that was one of the first major like issues that I like political issues that I kind of became aware of just because of my dad's rantings, where he would just be like, "God damn it, taxing the fucking the small business man just you know can't give me some fucking government insurance and I gotta fucking cover all these guys. I don't understand how I'm supposed to do this shit." It's just like whoa. And that's why I was always surprised. I'm like, wow, there isn't really like a government reprieve for this. And then I obviously had no idea what insurance even was until later in life. And then when I figured it out, I was like, oh my God, he was getting fucked.
It's a great cut-in point for leftists. It's like, we don't want it because that's actually a thing with progressives and dare I say democratic socialists, where they think you're against all business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, we don't want to help.
Yeah.
Like, look at let's use Walmart, right?
Yeah.
We wanted the moms and pops to win. We wanted the moms and pops to win. And you let Walmart come in and clear out these businesses.
Yep.
So small progressivism is a friend to small business. It's the friend they've always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's the salesmanship again. Like,
did you hear some bullshit though? I recently watched a video essay on how like now we're dealing with it where kids don't want to take over their families' businesses and farms. Actually, specifically, it was about farming, but then they talked about small businesses in general. And then, but I had heard this earlier where it's just like there was this weird idea that there was always like these familial like lineage businesses were going to be a thing, and then it turned out to be like a huge fallacy.
Yeah,
you got opinion on that?
I'm not surprised that that's happening. I think with millennials in particular, we value human experiences more than possessions, right? The great George Carlin said, people on the right are interested in property. People on the left are interested in people. And if you can start there, I think you can try to win over people because no one wants to think of themselves in that dichotomy as prioritizing property over people, but many people do.
I mean,
especially like owning people like Jeffrey Epstein used to do.
Well, yeah, but that's where you look at Project 2025 and it was so obvious what they're trying to do, trying to commodify prison labor even more, where it's just like, oh my God, like we're literally doing new age slavery.
Yes.
You know, and
or at least or even just the minimum wage point there, which is just more ubiquitous. I mean, it's people are getting exploited for the desperation. I saw it in Hollywood all the time. I mean, people just would work and not get paid.
You did comedy. It was the same shit.
Right.
Yeah. Here's your $15 and free drink.
Right. Yeah. Because you're desperate and the supply is huge and the demand is, Friday and Saturday and Sunday nights. And there's those places have reputations. and they also have budgets. And yeah, but if there was socialized medicine, I'd be making an extra $2,000 every month.
Right. Well, that's another talk. See, you got that one though. Like you actually did bring that up, and you're nailing that because most Americans can identify with that immediately.
Right.
Because I mean, realistically, you might know the statistics on this. How many of us are actually locked into our work because of our fucking healthcare? I'll be honest; it's pretty much the reason that I have the job I do.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting another job that gives me healthcare.
Yeah.